My dear friends, let me share something that happened on a Tuesday afternoon that changed 3 lives forever. This isn't a story about money or success. Lord knows those things matter less than we think. It's about an ordinary moment that became extraordinary, about how God works through the smallest creatures to heal the biggest wounds. I'm telling you this because at our age, we've learned that life's real treasures aren't found in bank accounts or boardrooms. They're found in unexpected places, like a dusty highway shoulder where death and grace meet. Robert Anderson learned this truth the hard way, 5 years after losing his beloved Emily. What happened that July day reminds us that it's never too late for redemption, never too late to feel something again, and sometimes the thing that saves us is the very thing that needs saving most. Robert Anderson drove his old Lincoln Town car along Highway 47. The air conditioning struggling against the 100-degree heat. The dashboard clock read 3:17. Emily used to say that was her lucky time. 3 was the Trinity, 17 was her birthday. 5 years, 2 months, and 11 days since she'd passed. He still noticed 3:17 twice a day. The phone rang again on the seat beside him. 4th time in 20 minutes. William from the office, probably about that hotel deal in Phoenix. Robert let it ring. These days, work was just something to fill the hours between waking up alone and going to bed alone. Something lay ahead on the shoulder, gray, like a bundle of old rags someone had tossed from a truck. But as he got closer, something seemed wrong about the shape. Too organized to be trash. Too still to be alive. He should have kept driving. Should have answered that phone. Talked about contracts and conference rooms. Kept his life moving in its careful routine. That's what the old Robert would have done. The one who'd built a successful hotel business over 40 years, who'd provided Emily with a comfortable life, who'd never missed a day of work until those last 3 months in the hospital. But his foot found the brake. The Lincoln rolled to a stop. The moment he opened the door, the heat hit like opening an oven. That smell came next, sweet and terrible, mixed with the metallic tang that anyone who's been around dying knows too well. 20 feet away, he could see it clearly. A dog. German Shepherd by the look of it, though so thin the breed was hard to recognize. Flies covered it like a black, moving blanket. "Oh, Lord," Robert whispered, not taking the name in vain, but a genuine prayer. The ribs showed through the skin like piano keys. The right back leg bent wrong, white bone poking through. No movement in the chest. No sign of breathing. Dead. Had to be dead. Nothing could survive in this heat with injuries like that. Robert stood there in his good khakis and the polo shirt Emily had bought him their last Christmas together. His dress shoes, polished every Sunday evening, just like his daddy had taught him, crunched on the gravel. Everything about this moment felt wrong. He didn't do this sort of thing. Didn't stop for strays, didn't get involved in other people's troubles. He turned back toward the car. 3 steps. 4. Then he heard it. Barely a sound at all. Just a tiny whimper, like the last air leaving a balloon. Robert spun around, dropped to his knees right there on the burning blacktop, not caring about the good pants. He waved away the flies with both hands, and that's when he saw the eye. One brown eye, clouded with pain but open, looking right at him. Not begging, not hoping, just looking, the way Emily had looked at him those last hours, knowing what was coming, but holding on for one more moment. "No, no, no," Robert heard himself saying. His hands shook as they hovered over the poor creature, afraid to touch but unable to leave. This close, he could see the horror of it. Maggots in the wound, the smell that made his breakfast rise in his throat. But worse than all of it were the round scars on the dog's side. Cigarette burns, dozens of them. Someone had used this animal as an ashtray. The dog's eyes started to close. "Stay with me," Robert said, the same words he'd whispered to Emily that October night. "Please. Just stay with me." His phone rang. William again. Probably millions of dollars at stake. 8,000 employees counting on him to make the right decisions. Robert ignored it and dialed a different number from memory. Mitchell Veterinary Hospital, came the familiar voice of Sue Ellen, who'd been there 20 years. Sue Ellen, it's Robert Anderson. I need Doc Mitchell right now. Life or death. Oh, honey, he's in surgery. Tell him it's Robert, and I found something that needs him. Highway 47, mile marker 31. 30 seconds passed. Robert kept his hand near the dog's head, close enough that maybe it could feel the warmth, know someone was there. Rob? James Mitchell's voice came through. They'd known each other since high school, 40-odd years now. Jim, I've got a dog here. It's bad. Real bad. How bad we talking? Robert looked at the infected wound, the visible bones, the clouded eye. Remember that deer we found junior year? The one the semi hit? Lord have mercy. Rob, if it's suffering that bad, it's alive, Jim. Looking right at me. Silence. Then, don't move it. I'm bringing the van. 15 minutes, maybe less. Robert ended the call. The dog's eye had closed again. The tiniest rise and fall in the chest, 3 breaths per minute, if that. He thought about Emily, how she'd always fed the stray cats behind the grocery store, how she'd cried when they'd had to put down their old beagle, Roscoe, how she would have been on her knees beside him right now, praying over this broken creature. She would have stopped too, he told the dog. Emily would have stopped. The dog's eye cracked open. Just barely. But enough. Robert Anderson, 62 years old, successful businessman, widower, man who hadn't felt anything real in 5 years, sat on that scorching highway shoulder in his good clothes and refused to look away. Not this time. Before we continue, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know which city you're watching from. Now, let's get back to the story. The veterinary van's tires crunched on gravel 14 minutes later. Robert's knees had gone numb against the hot pavement, his khakis torn where the asphalt had worn through. The dog hadn't moved, except for that shallow breathing. He'd counted 3 breaths per minute, same as checking Emily's pulse those last days. Jim Mitchell stepped out of the van. Same height as high school, 6'2", though his hair had gone white like fresh snow. Those steady hands had saved more animals than anyone could count in 43 years of practice. Jim took one look, and his jaw tightened the way it did when news was bad. Temperature's got to be 105 out here, Rob. This poor thing's been here at least overnight. Can you save him? Jim's fingers found the dog's neck, checking for a pulse. Weak, maybe 40 beats. He lifted the lip, gums white as Sunday paper. Lost a lot of blood. That leg's infected clear to the bone. His hands moved to the swollen belly. Might be bleeding inside, too. The dog's eye cracked open at Jim's touch. A sound came out, not quite a whine, more like a sigh. He knows we're here, Robert said. Maybe just nerves firing. Jim stood, wiped sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. Rob, I'll be straight with you. The kind thing would be to let him go peaceful. How much? What? The treatment. How much? Jim looked at him then, really looked. Saw the torn pants, the sweat stains on the good polo shirt, the way Robert's hands trembled just a little. 15,000 just to stabilize, if he makes it through surgery. Could be 40, 50,000 total. Months of recovery. Might lose the leg. Might have damage we can't fix. Robert's phone rang. Sarah, his younger sister. Her 6 o'clock call, right on schedule like always. He let it ring. Emily died at 7:32 in the evening, Robert said. The words came from somewhere deep. I sat by her bed 97 days, watched her go from 130 pounds to 78, held her hand through all of it. But when her heart stopped, I was looking at my phone, checking messages about some contract. Jim said nothing, just waited, the way good friends do. Haven't felt anything since. Not when Daddy passed last year, not when we opened the new hotel. Nothing. Robert's voice stayed steady, matter of fact. But when this dog looked at me, Rob, 50,000, 100,000, I don't care. Jim nodded slow. Let's get him loaded. They positioned the stretcher, careful as handling china. The moment Jim touched the infected leg, the dog's eyes flew wide. His mouth opened in a silent scream. No sound left in him, just the shape of pain. That's when Robert saw them. Perfect circles on the dog's side, each one identical. Cigarette burns. At least 20 of them. The inside of Jim's van smelled like iodine and wet dog, familiar scents from 40 years of emergency calls. Robert crouched beside the stretcher while Jim drove, keeping one hand an inch above the dog's head. Every pothole in the old county road sent vibrations through the vehicle. The dog's eye rolled back, showing white. Pulse is dropping, Robert said. The vein in the dog's neck that had been visible 30 seconds ago wasn't moving anymore. How do you know to check that? Emily, the nurses at St. Mary's taught me. Said it would help me feel useful. Jim pressed harder on the gas. The speedometer needle climbed past 75. Keep talking to him. To the dog? Sometimes they hold on to voices, like anchor lines. Robert's throat felt full of sand. What did you say to a dying dog? His hand dropped to touch the matted fur, greasy, burning hot, sticky with things he didn't want to think about. The dog's eye shifted toward him, clouded but tracking. You're going somewhere safe. They have medicine, clean beds. The words sounded thin as tissue paper. Jim here's the best vet in 3 counties. Delivered my Emily's mare's foal 30 years ago. The dog's breathing changed. Quick, shallow pants. His swollen tongue pushed out between broken teeth. That's his body fighting, Jim said from the driver's seat. Means he's still in there. Robert's phone vibrated against his leg. 12 missed calls now. The afternoon meeting about the Phoenix property would start in an hour. 23 investors waiting to hear about projected returns. None of it seemed real. Only this moment felt real. The wheeze of the dog's breathing, the count between heartbeats, the way those burnt circles on his side formed a sick pattern. Someone did this on purpose, Robert said. The burns, they're all the same size. I've seen it before. Some people... Jim's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Well, some people weren't raised right. The van turned in the Pine Valley Veterinary Hospital's back entrance. 2 young women in scrubs waited with a wheeled gurney. The moment they opened the doors, the dog tried to lift his head. A sound came from his throat, not a growl, more like a question. You're okay, Robert said, his hand staying on the dog's head as they wheeled him through the automatic doors into bright fluorescent light. I'm right here. The examination room erupted in controlled urgency. Numbers called out. Temperature 104.8, heart rate 38, blood pressure 60/40. A blonde technician, maybe 30, slipped an IV needle into the dog's front leg. The dog's eye found Robert's face and held there. Sir, you need to step back, she said. He's watching me. Sir, let him stay, Jim said, pulling on surgical gloves. Rob, there's a chair in the corner. Sit there. Don't touch anything. Robert sat on the molded plastic chair, still warm from the last person. They started shaving the fur around the leg wound. The smell hit immediately. Sweet rot mixed with infection. One of the technicians turned her head, covered her mouth. The bone wasn't just broken. It had shattered like a dinner plate dropped on concrete. White fragments stuck through blackened flesh. Maggots dropped onto the steel table, writhing under the bright lights. How long? Robert asked. This break? 2 weeks at least, maybe more. The infection spread to the bone. Jim inserted a thermometer. The burns are older, months. See how they've scarred? 17, the blonde technician said quietly. 17 separate burns. Robert's phone rang. William Cross's ringtone, the opening bars of Money for Nothing that Emily had programmed as a joke years ago. Aren't you going to answer that? Jim asked, not looking up from his work. No. That's the 10th time it's wrong, Rob. 17th. Jim's hands paused. He looked at Robert over his surgical mask. The Phoenix deal. That's today. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Rob, can you save him or not? Jim looked back at the dog, drew blood, dark and thick as motor oil, checked the packed cell volume in a small machine. His shoulders dropped the way they did when he had to tell someone their animal wouldn't make it home. 12% PCV. Normal's 35 to 45. His kidneys are shutting down. There's fluid in the belly, probably blood from internal injuries. The leg needs immediate amputation or the infection will kill him. But he might not survive surgery. His blood won't clot right. Liver's probably shot. What are the odds? 30%. Maybe 35 if we're lucky and the good Lord's paying attention. Do it. Rob, this animal's been tortured. Even if he survives, he might never trust people again. Fear aggression, psychological damage. Do it. The cost alone. I don't care about the cost. Robert stood, walked to the table. The dog's eye followed him. This close, Robert could see flecks of gold in the brown iris. Probably handsome ones, before someone decided to put out cigarettes on him. I'm going to tell them to help you, Robert said to the dog, his boardroom voice steady and sure. It's going to hurt, but then it'll be better. The dog's tail moved. Just the tip, less than an inch. Could have been a muscle spasm. Or could have been understanding. Prep surgery, Jim said. Type and cross-match for blood transfusion. Get me 2 units of packed cells. Call Dr. Patel for orthopedic consult. He looked at Robert. Waiting room's down the hall. This'll take hours. Robert didn't move. Rob, go. Let us work. Robert walked backward toward the door, keeping eye contact with the dog until the last second. In the hallway, the fluorescent lights hummed like angry bees. His legs shook. He slumped against the wall, pulled out his phone. 43 missed calls, 28 emails. 6 text messages from board members. The last text from William read, I'm driving to the hospital. We're not losing $47 million because you've lost your mind. Robert looked through the observation window. They were putting a breathing tube down the dog's throat. Its eye had closed. Jim's hands moved quick and sure, a lifetime of skill in every motion. The main entrance doors burst open. William Cross stood there, face red as a ripe tomato, his expensive suit wrinkled from the drive. What in God's name have you done? William Cross's cologne. Something expensive that Emily once said smelled like a funeral parlor, filled the hospital corridor. Behind him, 2 younger men from the office stumbled to keep pace, their faces shiny with Phoenix heat. The investors are sitting in a conference room right now. William's voice echoed off the walls. $47 million, Robert. 4 years of work. Robert stayed seated on the plastic chair. Through the observation window, Jim's hands worked inside the dog's open belly. Blood pooled on the surgical table, dripping onto the floor in steady drops like a leaky faucet. Did you hear me? William stepped closer. Coffee and whiskey on his breath. His lunch, usual. The entire board's waiting. The dog's name is Lucky. William's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. You named it? Decided while they were operating. Figured he needs something better than dying nameless. Robert, listen to yourself. Emily's been gone 5 years. Robert stood. William stepped back. Don't. The grief counselor said you never properly. I said, don't. Through the window, Jim lifted something dark from Lucky's abdomen. The monitors started screaming. Jim's hands pushed down on the dog's chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A technician charged the paddles. Clear. The body jumped. Nothing. Again. The flat tone continued. Robert's palm pressed against the glass. His breath fogged the window. Jim kept pushing. 30 compressions. 2 breaths through the tube. 30 more. The line jumped. Steadied. 4 minutes, 17 seconds, the technician called out. William's hand grabbed Robert's shoulder. 4 minutes watching a dog die while your business burns? This is what you've become? Robert turned. His fist connected with William's jaw. Not hard, he'd never been a fighter, but enough. William stumbled backward, hand to his mouth, blood between his fingers. "You're fired," Robert said. "All of you, get out." The younger men looked at each other. William spit blood onto the white floor. "You've lost it, completely lost it." William straightened his tie with bloody fingers. "The board will remove you. I'll make sure of it." They left. Robert turned back to the window. Lucky's chest rose and fell with the ventilator. Jim was closing, his needle making careful stitches despite the exhaustion in his shoulders. The amputated leg lay in a metal pan, gray fur matted with old blood. Day 2. Lucky's kidneys had given up, the catheter bag filled with brown, blood mixed with dying tissue. Robert hadn't left the hospital. His assistant Margaret had brought fresh clothes, but they sat untouched in a paper bag. "We need to start dialysis," Jim told the overnight technician. Dark circles under his eyes. He'd been here 18 hours straight. "Machine needs to clean his blood." "Dr. Mitchell, that's a $10,000 procedure." "Do it." Robert signed another check. The numbers meant nothing, just ink on paper. Day 3. Morning sun painted the medical equipment gold through the windows. Lucky hadn't moved, hadn't opened his eyes. The ventilator pushed air in and out. Machines cleaned his blood. 3 different IV bags dripped medications. The infection spreading. Jim held up the blood work. White cells through the roof, the paper said, though Robert didn't understand the numbers. "Rob, we need to consider." "No. He's suffering." His tail moved. First day, his tail moved. That was probably just, it moved. Sarah arrived at 10 in the morning, wearing her gardening clothes and worry. She took in Robert's 3-day stubble, the coffee cups lined up like soldiers, the way he counted Lucky's breaths. "David thinks you're having a breakdown," she said. David, her psychiatrist husband who'd never liked Robert much. "David thinks everyone's having a breakdown. You missed Daddy's memorial planning. Daddy's dead. Won't matter if the flowers are white or yellow." She sat beside him. Her perfume, white shoulders, same as Mama used to wear, couldn't cover the hospital smell of disinfectant and sickness. "This isn't about the dog," she said quietly. "Everything's not about Emily, Sarah. You couldn't save her, so now, please, just stop." She left after an hour, but not before taking pictures with that little camera phone Tommy bought her for Christmas. Evidence, probably, for whatever intervention they were planning. Day 4. Second cardiac arrest during evening rounds. Robert was in the bathroom when the alarm started shrieking. He ran down the hall with his pants half-zipped, watched Jim push down on Lucky's chest hard enough to crack ribs. The new technician, young, scared, fumbled with the medicines. "Epinephrine, now!" Jim's voice sharp as a scalpel. The heart started, stopped, started. Lucky survived, somehow. Day 5. His liver's failing. Jim showed Robert the ultrasound screen. Dark spots where there should be light, though Robert couldn't make sense of the blurry image. Multiple organs shutting down. We're just prolonging. One more day. Rob, you said 30%. It hasn't been 30% worth of time yet. Jim looked at Lucky. The dog seems smaller every day. Fur shaved for procedures, surgery sites weeping clear fluid. More machine than animal now. "When do we stop?" Jim asked. "When he's dead? When you're bankrupt? When?" "When he stops fighting." "He's not fighting, he's unconscious." "His heart keeps starting. That's fighting." Day 6. A woman stood in the hospital lobby with one of those big television cameras. Jennifer Hayes, the lady from Channel 7 who did those human interest stories Emily used to like. "Mr. Anderson, is it true you've spent $60,000 on a stray dog?" Robert walked past her. She followed, her high heels clicking on the linoleum. "People are saying you've abandoned your business responsibilities." He stopped, turned. The camera lens reflected his hollow eyes, the stubble, the coffee stains on his shirt. No comment. "Mr. Anderson, we heard you've been here 6 days straight, that the board's talking about removing you." "Good for them." "Sir." The elevator doors closed between them. Day 7, 3 in the morning. The overnight tech dozed at the desk. Robert sat alone watching Lucky's monitors beep their electronic heartbeat. Still unconscious, still breathing only because machines forced air into his lungs. His phone, turned back on for the first time in days, showed 217 missed calls, emails from investors, texts from lawyers. The Phoenix deal was dead. Stock had dropped 12%. None of it felt real. Only this room felt real. Only Lucky's ventilator. Only the count between heartbeats. Emily was sick 97 days, Robert said to the unconscious dog, to the darkness, to himself. 97 days of watching her disappear. And on the last day, I took a call from William about room rates in Singapore. She died while I was talking about money. Lucky's monitor beeped. Steady. Unchanging. "I'm not leaving this time. You hear me? I'm not leaving." Pink light started creeping across the sky outside. Day 8 beginning. Robert almost missed it. His eyes had been closed, head resting against the cool window. But movement caught the corner of his vision. Lucky's tail. Not the whole tail, just the tip. A 2-inch sweep against the white blanket. Then again. Deliberate. Conscious. Robert's coffee mug hit the floor and shattered. Coffee mug pieces scattered across the floor like broken promises. Robert's knees hit the linoleum beside them. Through the observation window, Lucky's tail moved again. Not a spasm, not a reflex. 2 inches of deliberate motion, then back. "Jim!" Robert's voice cracked like he was 16 again. "Jim, get in here!" Footsteps ran down the hallway. Jim burst through the door, surgical scrubs wrinkled from sleeping in the break room. He looked at the monitors first, heart steady, oxygen holding. "His tail." Robert pointed through the glass. "Watch." They waited. 20 seconds. 30. Lucky's tail swept right. 2 inches. Then back. Jim pushed into the room, Robert following despite the rules. The antiseptic smell stronger here, mixed with that metallic scent of old blood. Jim lifted Lucky's eyelid, shined a pen light. The pupil contracted. "He's responding." Jim moved to the other eye. Same result. Coming up from the sedation, finally. Lucky's eye cracked open, just a sliver. The brown iris found Robert's face. "Hey." Robert's hand hovered above Lucky's head. "Hey there." The tail moved again, stronger. 3 inches this time. "Don't get your hopes up," Jim warned. "Could be brain damage from the cardiac arrests. Might not be fully." Lucky's tongue emerged. Dry, cracked like old leather, but reaching toward Robert's hovering hand. Made contact. Warm, rough, alive. Robert's shoulders shook. Tears ran down into his 3-day stubble, salt on his lips. He was crying in front of Jim Mitchell, sobbing like a child over a dog's kiss. And he didn't care one bit. Week 2. Lucky managed 7 seconds standing. His remaining back leg trembled like a newborn calf's. The stump where his right leg had been was wrapped in white gauze, pink fluid seeping through. Robert held his breath for all 7 seconds. When Lucky collapsed onto the foam mat, his tail still wagged, weak but real. "The muscles have wasted." Dr. Patel, the orthopedic specialist, ran her hands along Lucky's spine. "Months of starvation before the injury. Look here, old fractures in the ribs, healed wrong. This dog's been beaten with something heavy, repeatedly." Robert's fingers found the soft fur behind Lucky's ears, one of the few places without scars. Who would do this? "I've called animal control. They'll investigate, but without witnesses." She shrugged. "These cases go nowhere mostly." Lucky's head lifted at voices. Both eyes clear now, tracking movement. When the technician brought his food, prescription kibble soaked in beef broth, he tried to stand again. Made it 4 seconds before his leg gave out. "He's trying," Robert said. "He's a fighter." Dr. Patel typed notes into her computer. Most dogs would have given up. Week 3. The first bark came during morning physical therapy. Not a real bark, more like a cough with intention. Lucky had been watching a cardinal through the window. His throat, raw from the breathing tube, produced only a rasp. "That's good," the therapist said. "He's engaging with his environment." Robert had brought his laptop, supposedly to review contracts from his consulting work, but the screen had gone dark 10 minutes ago. He watched Lucky attempt another step. The attachment point for the prosthetic was still too tender, so Lucky hopped on 3 legs. Awkward, determined. A woman appeared in the doorway. Jennifer Hayes from Channel 7, but without her cameraman this time. "Mr. Anderson." No comment. "I'm not here as a reporter." She stepped in, closed the door. "I've been investigating. The dog, Lucky, I found where he came from." Robert's hands stilled on the keyboard. "How?" "Microchip. The original vet had records. Jake Morrison. Lives in Riverside. Construction worker." She handed him a manila folder. Photos inside. A small house with dirt for a yard. Chain-link fence with rust. A heavy chain attached to a post. No doghouse visible. "Neighbors say the dog was kept outside year-round. They heard him crying at night. Several called animal control, but Morrison would hide the dog during inspections." Robert flipped to the next photo. A boy, maybe 8 years old, thin, blonde hair that needed cutting, standing beside a German shepherd, healthy then, full-bodied, alert. "That's Tommy, Morrison's son. School reports show irregular attendance. Teachers have noted bruises. The boy was abused too? Suspected. Never proven." Jennifer pointed to another photo. The boy and dog together. The dog standing between the child and something outside the frame. "Neighbor took this. Said the dog always positioned itself between the father and son. Took the beatings meant for the kid." Robert looked at Lucky, working through his exercises, dragging himself across the mat toward a tennis ball. Every movement cost him, but his eyes stayed fixed on that yellow ball. "Morrison reported the dog dead 6 weeks ago. Said it ran away. He tried to kill him. Probably. Beat him bad enough he thought he'd finish the job. Dog crawled away to die. Made it to Highway 47. Jennifer took the folder back. "I'm running a story. Not about you. About animal cruelty laws. How they fail. That okay?" Robert nodded. Lucky had reached the tennis ball. Couldn't pick it up, jaw muscles still weak, but rested his nose on it, tail wagging. Week 4. "He's ready," Jim said. "Medically stable. The rest is rehabilitation and time." Robert's house sat on 12 acres in the hills outside Scottsdale. He'd bought it with Emily, back when they'd thought there'd be children to fill those 7 bedrooms. Now it was just empty space and memories. Lucky sat in the back of the SUV Jim had helped modify, a special harness keeping him secure. His nose pressed against the window, fogging the glass with each breath. Every red light, every turn, those brown eyes found Robert in the rearview mirror. Checking. Still there? Still coming? "Almost home," Robert said, though the word felt strange. Had it ever really been home since Emily died? Maria Gonzalez waited at the front door. 20 years she'd worked for the Anderson family. She'd been there through Emily's illness, cleaned out the medical equipment after, kept the house running while Robert lost himself in work. "Mr. Anderson." Her eyes went to Lucky being lifted from the car in his special sling. "Oh, pobrecito. Poor little thing." Lucky's ears went flat. His body tensed. Maria stepped back, understanding immediately. "He's afraid of strangers," Robert explained. "Especially, I understand." Maria's voice dropped soft. "My husband, when he came back from Korea, took time. Lots of time." They entered through the kitchen, the marble foyer too slippery for 3 legs. Lucky froze at the threshold. His nose worked overtime. New smells, new spaces. Danger? Safety? No way to know. Robert sat right down on the kitchen floor. It's okay. Your house now. Lucky hopped forward. 1 step, 2. His claws clicked on the tile, the sound echoing in the big, empty house. He pressed against Robert's leg, trembling. Show him the laundry room, Maria suggested. Small, quiet, like a den. The laundry room was maybe 8 by 10 feet. Washer, dryer, utility sink. Robert had probably been in there twice in 5 years. Lucky entered cautiously, sniffed every corner, then curled up in the space between the washer and wall. His eyes stayed open, watching the door. He feels safe, Maria observed. Small spaces. After what he's been through. Robert brought Lucky's bed from the car. Orthopedic foam, veterinarian recommended. Set it in the corner with water bowl, food dish, the tennis ball from therapy. Lucky didn't move from behind the washer. Week 5. Robert read the email on his phone while sitting outside the laundry room. Lucky had ventured out twice, once for water, once for food, but retreated immediately after. Mr. Anderson, Margaret had written, the board has called an emergency meeting. They're requesting a psychological evaluation. William Cross has gathered 6 members. They're citing fiduciary responsibility. Let them, Robert said aloud. Lucky's head poked out, watching. Stock's down 11%, Robert told him. First Phoenix fell through, then Singapore pulled out. Seems I'm bad for business these days. Lucky emerged fully, hopped toward Robert. Sat, more of a controlled fall, beside him. Robert's hand found the soft fur behind his ears. Lucky's eyes closed. His phone rang. Margaret again. Sir, they expect you at the meeting Thursday, 2 o'clock. I'll call in. Mr. Anderson, they want you there in person. Then they'll be disappointed. Week 6. Lucky discovered the living room at 3 in the morning. Robert woke to claws clicking on hardwood, grabbed his phone for light. Lucky stood in the bedroom doorway, silhouetted against the hall light. Hey, buddy. Lucky hopped closer. The prosthetic, fitted 3 days ago, made a soft thump with each step. He'd learned to walk with it remarkably fast, though he still preferred hopping when tired. Robert patted the bed. Come on up. Lucky considered. In his past life, dogs on furniture probably meant beatings. But his tail wagged, decision made. He tried to jump, couldn't make it with one back leg. Robert lifted him. Lucky circled 3 times, then curled against Robert's leg. Within minutes, snoring, a soft wheeze from his damaged throat. Robert lay awake, feeling the warm weight. Emily's side of the bed had been empty 2,013 nights. Now this broken dog occupied a corner of it, trusting him enough to sleep. His phone buzzed. William Cross. You have 48 hours to appear before the board, or we proceed with removal vote. Robert deleted it. Lucky's paw twitched in sleep, chasing something in dreams. Robert hoped it was rabbits, not memories. Week 7. The tennis ball bounced across the backyard's perfect lawn. Lucky gave chase, the prosthetic throwing his gait sideways but not slowing him much. He grabbed the ball, brought it back, dropped it at Robert's feet. Good boy. Lucky's tail wagged so hard his whole back end moved. 7 weeks ago he'd been hours from death. Now he was playing fetch. Maria watched from the kitchen window. She'd taken to cooking extra portions. For the dog, she'd say, though half ended up on Robert's plate. He'd lost 15 pounds during Lucky's hospitalization. His clothes hung loose. Mr. Anderson, she called through the window. Phone. Your sister. Sarah's voice came through sharp with worry. I'm driving over, with David. And Dr. Shaw. My therapist? Robert, you need help. You've abandoned everything for a dog. This isn't normal grief. Robert hung up. Lucky had returned with the ball, dropped it, waited. His eyes bright, focused. The cloudy damage from starvation was gone. He'd gained 12 pounds, still thin but no longer skeletal. They think I'm crazy, Robert told him. Maybe I am. Lucky barked, still raspy but getting stronger. He picked up the ball, threw it himself by tossing his head, then chased it, entertaining himself. The security system announced cars coming up the drive. 3 vehicles. Sarah, David, Dr. Shaw. Probably William, too. An intervention. Lucky sensed the tension. Pressed against Robert's leg, a low growl starting in his chest, the first Robert had heard from him. It's okay. They're not here for you. But Lucky's growl deepened, his body positioned between Robert and the driveway. The dog who'd taken beatings for a child was ready to take them for Robert. The lead car's door opened. Sarah stepped out. But it wasn't her presence that made Robert's blood run cold. Behind her, getting out of a rust-covered pickup truck, was a man in work clothes. Weathered face, mean eyes. A boy beside him, trying to hide behind the truck's door. Jake Morrison had found them. Lucky's growl vibrated through Robert's palm where it rested on the dog's head. The sound came from deep in his chest, primal, like something wild remembering how to fight. His remaining back leg bent, ready to spring. The prosthetic locked straight, providing balance. Jake Morrison stood 20 feet away. Denim jacket despite the afternoon heat, steel-toed boots scuffed from job sites. His hands hung loose at his sides, but the knuckles bore old scars, the kind you get from hitting things. Or people. That's my dog. Jake's voice carried across the driveway. Flat, matter-of-fact, like stating the weather was hot. Lucky's whole body went rigid. A dark stain spread down his prosthetic leg, urine running down to puddle on the concrete. His growl stopped. The silence that followed was worse than any sound. The silence of prey, recognizing predator. Sarah stepped between them, confused. Robert, this gentleman says, I know what he says. Tommy Morrison stood behind the truck's open door. 8 years old, but small for his age. Blonde hair hanging over a purple-black bruise under his left eye. Fresh, maybe 2 days old. His hands gripped the door handle, knuckles white as paper. Got the paperwork right here. Jake pulled folded documents from his jacket. Adoption papers from Phoenix Shelter, 2021. Microchip registration, vet records. All saying he belongs to me. David, Sarah's psychiatrist husband, moved forward in his mediator voice. I'm sure we can discuss this reasonably. Nothing to discuss. Jake walked closer. Lucky backed up, pressed so hard against Robert's leg that Robert had to brace himself to keep from stumbling. Dog's mine. This rich fool. He pointed at Robert, stole him. I found him dying on Highway 47. Robert's voice stayed level. You left him for dead. Prove it. Dr. Shaw, gray-haired and professional, cleared her throat. Perhaps we should call the authorities. Already did. Jake smiled. No warmth in it, just teeth. Animal control says possession is reality. Dog's here, but papers say he's mine. So either Mr. Anderson gives him back, or I file theft charges. Or, the smile widened, he pays me for my emotional suffering. Say, 100,000? Been real torn up about losing my pet. Tommy made a sound. Not quite a word, more like air leaving a punctured tire. Jake's head snapped toward him. You shut your mouth, boy. Tommy shrank back, but his eyes stayed on Lucky. Tears ran down his dirty cheeks, mixing with snot. His lips moved. No sound, but Robert could read them. Please. The dog was tortured, Robert said. 17 cigarette burns, broken bones never treated. Prove that, too. Jake stepped onto the lawn. Lucky tried to back up further, but the prosthetic caught on the grass edge. He fell, scrambled up, fell again. Terror made him clumsy. Dad, please! Tommy's voice cracked like a dropped egg. Jake turned fast. The boy flinched, hands coming up automatically. Practiced motion, like he'd done it 100 times before. What did I say? I'm sorry. Get in the truck. Maria had been standing by the kitchen door. She moved now, phone in her hand held low, recording. Jake didn't notice, focused on Robert. "Here's what happens," Jake said. "You give me my dog, or you give me money. Choose." William Cross had been silent until now. He stepped forward, his lawyer instincts engaged. "Mr. Morrison, extortion is not extortion. Compensation for my stolen property and suffering." Lucky had made it to the front door, scratching at it, desperate to get inside, to hide. His bladder released again. The scratching became frantic, claws leaving marks on the wood. "Look at him," Jake laughed. The sound was like ice cracking. "Still knows who's boss." Robert opened the door. Lucky bolted through, disappeared into the house. They heard him crash into something, a table, maybe. Then silence. "Running won't help," Jake said. "I'll get a court order. Sheriff will come, take him right out of your fancy house." The dog was dying, tortured. No court would. You'd be surprised what courts do when a working man's property gets taken by some rich guy. Jake's eyes were flat, dead, like looking at a snake. "Ask your lawyer friends." William Cross's jaw tightened. Because Jake was right. Property law was clear. Without proof of abandonment or abuse that would stand in court. "How much?" Robert asked. "Robert, no." Sarah grabbed his arm. "You can't negotiate with—" "How much to sign over ownership?" Jake pretended to think. 100,000 sounds fair. For my pain and suffering. My boy's been crying for weeks." Tommy was crying now. Silent tears. He'd moved around the truck, closer to the house. His eyes searched the windows, looking for Lucky. 50,000. Robert pulled out his phone. "I can transfer it now." 100, or I take the dog today." "You can't—" "Watch me." Jake pulled out his own phone. "Sheriff's a buddy. One call, he's here in 20 minutes. Animal control, too. They'll tranquilize the dog if he resists. Seen it happen. Sometimes the dose is wrong for the size. Dog never wakes up." The threat hung in the afternoon air like smoke. Tommy made another sound, a whimper. Jake's hand moved toward him, then stopped. Too many witnesses. 75,000, Robert said. "Robert, this is insane," David interjected. "You're having an episode." "It's my money." "Dad." Tommy's voice was so quiet they almost missed it. "Please don't take Lucky. Please. He didn't do anything wrong." Jake's face darkened like a storm coming. "Boy, I told you. He saved me." The words tumbled out fast, desperate, like water through a broken dam. "When you were hitting me, he got in the way. That's why you hurt him, because he kept getting between us." The silence that followed was complete. Even the birds stopped singing. Jake's face went from red to purple. "You lying little—" He moved toward Tommy, fast, hand raised. 3 things happened at once. Maria stepped forward, phone still recording. Tommy fell backward, hands up to protect his face. And from inside the house came a sound that made everyone freeze. Lucky, barking. Not the weak rasp from therapy, but a full roar. Paws thundered across hardwood. The dog appeared in the doorway, moving faster than should have been possible on 3 legs. He cleared the steps in one leap, hit the ground running. The prosthetic threw his balance but didn't slow him. Saliva flew from his open mouth. Jake turned just as Lucky reached him. The dog didn't bite. Instead, he positioned himself between Jake and Tommy, legs spread wide, head low. A growl that came from somewhere ancient, before dogs knew leashes, when they were still wolves. "You trained him to attack," Jake said, but his voice had gone high. "That's a dangerous animal. Needs to be put down." Lucky took a step forward. Jake stepped back. "Call him off or I'm calling animal control right now. Aggressive dog, already missing a leg, attacking his legal owner? They'll euthanize him today." Robert looked at Tommy, still on the ground, at Lucky, trembling but standing firm, at Jake, phone in hand, finger over the dial button. "Lucky, come." The dog didn't move, wouldn't leave Tommy unprotected. "Lucky!" Robert made his voice sharp. "Here, now!" Lucky's head turned slightly, confused, torn between commands and instinct. "You call him off," Jake said, "or I make the call. 10 seconds. "Robert," Sarah whispered, "what are you doing?" Robert pulled up his banking app. "I'll transfer the money. 100,000. Now." "Robert, no!" William stepped forward. "This is extortion." 5 seconds, Jake said. Robert looked at Lucky, still standing guard, at Tommy, tears and snot covering his face, at the phone in Jake's hand. "Lucky, inside. Now." This time Robert put every ounce of authority into it, the voice that had built an empire, the voice that commanded boardrooms. Lucky whined, looked at Tommy, back at Robert. "Now!" The dog moved, slow, reluctant, walking backward, keeping eyes on Jake. He reached Robert, pressed against his leg. "Good." Jake's smile returned. "Now about that money." A siren wailed in the distance, getting closer. "Did you call?" Jake looked at Maria. She held up her phone. On the screen, a video played. Jake's hand raised toward Tommy, the boy's flinch, all of it recorded. "No," she said, "but someone did." The siren grew louder, multiple sirens, police. And behind them, another sound. A news van, Channel 7 logo on the side, pulling up the driveway. Jennifer Hayes stepping out with a cameraman. Jake's face went white. "You set me up." Robert felt his phone buzz. A text from Margaret. "Board meeting starting. They're voting without you." Below that, another text. From Jennifer Hayes. "Got your message. Bringing backup." But Robert hadn't sent any message. He looked at Maria. She winked. Jake was backing toward his truck. "This isn't over. That dog is legally—" The police car turned into the driveway. Tommy hadn't moved from the ground. He stared at Lucky with the kind of love and loss that no 8-year-old should know. "Mister?" Tommy's voice was small. "Will Lucky be okay?" Before Robert could answer, Jake grabbed his son's arm, hard enough that Tommy cried out. That's when Lucky moved again. Lucky's teeth closed on Jake's wrist. Not hard enough to break skin, but firm. A hold, not a bite. Jake's fingers opened. Tommy pulled free, scrambled backward on the gravel. "He bit me!" Jake screamed at the approaching officers. "The dog attacked me! I want him destroyed!" The first officer, badge red Martinez, looked at Jake's wrist. No blood, no marks. "Sir, I need you to step back." Jennifer Hayes' cameraman was already filming, the red recording light steady as a heartbeat. "Turn that off!" Jake lunged toward the camera. Martinez stepped between them. "Sir, calm down." "That's my dog. These people stole—" "We'll sort it out." Martinez's partner, younger, had his notepad out. "Everyone stays calm." Robert's phone vibrated continuously. The board meeting had started. William Cross looked at his own phone, then at Robert. "They're voting, right now." "If you don't call in—" "Mr. Morrison," the younger officer said, "we received a report of possible child endangerment." Tommy had crawled to where Lucky stood. The dog's tail wagged once, weakly. Tommy buried his face in Lucky's fur, shoulders shaking like leaves in wind. "That's ridiculous." Jake's voice had gone cold as January. "My boy fell. Kids fall." Maria stepped forward with her phone. "I have video." She played it. Jake's raised hand, Tommy's practiced flinch. The audio was clear. "You lying little—" "That proves nothing," Jake said. But sweat beaded on his forehead despite the evening starting to cool. "Tommy," Officer Martinez knelt beside the boy. "Can you tell me what happened to your eye?" Tommy's hand went to the bruise. His mouth opened, closed. He looked at his father. "Tell them you fell," Jake said. Martinez's expression hardened. "Sir, don't coach the witness. He's my son." "Tommy?" Martinez's voice gentled. "You're not in trouble. Just tell the truth." Lucky shifted position, placing himself more firmly between Tommy and Jake. His prosthetics scraped against concrete. The sound seemed to give Tommy strength. "I tried to feed Lucky." Tommy's voice was barely louder than breathing. "When Dad was at work, he got mad." The boy's lying, confused. His mother, my ex, she put ideas. "Mr. Morrison, stop talking." The younger officer moved closer to Jake. "Tommy, when you say he got mad, who—" Robert's phone rang. Sarah grabbed it, answered. "Hello? Yes, this is his phone." "What? They can't—" Her face went white as fresh paper. 51% voted yes. Robert knew what that meant. CEO position? Gone. 15 years of building the company? Finished. His legs should have felt weak. His chest should have tightened. Instead, he watched Tommy's small fingers grip Lucky's fur and felt nothing but clarity. 3 weeks later. The morning started normal. Lucky chased squirrels in the backyard, his gait steadier every day. Robert worked from his laptop, consulting work now since the board had removed him. Enough to pay bills, not enough to matter. Tommy had been placed with his aunt in Tucson while the custody case proceeded. Jake was out on bail, charges pending. The boy called every night at 7 to say goodnight to Lucky. Robert would hold the phone to the dog's ear while Tommy talked about school, about his aunt's fat orange cat, about anything except his father. Lucky had just brought back the tennis ball for the 10th time when his back leg buckled. Not a stumble, a complete collapse. His body hit the grass hard. "Lucky?" The dog tried to stand, couldn't. His breathing came in short pants like he'd been running for miles. Eyes wide, confused, scared. Robert dropped to his knees. Hands running over Lucky's body, checking for injury. No obvious wounds, but the dog's gums were pale, nearly white. His phone was in the house, 30 feet that felt like 30 miles. He lifted Lucky, heavier now at 68 pounds, healthier weight, but dead weight, and ran. Maria met him at the door, saw his face. "I'll drive." The emergency vet wasn't Jim this time. Dr. Kumar, young, efficient, had Lucky on the table within minutes of arrival. "Internal bleeding." She showed Robert the ultrasound screen. "Dark fluid where there shouldn't be any. The spleen, probably damage from the old trauma that we missed. Sometimes scar tissue holds for months, then ruptures. Fix it." "Mr. Anderson, he's been through so much already. Another surgery at this point." "Fix it." Kumar looked at Lucky, now on oxygen, barely conscious. "The surgery alone is $27,000. No guarantees. His body might not handle another trauma." Robert pulled out his credit card. The corporate card had been canceled. This was personal. The balance wouldn't cover it all, but there were other cards. "Do it." 4 hours in surgery. Robert sat in the same plastic chair he'd occupied 3 months ago. The same fluorescent lights hummed like angry wasps. The same coffee machine dispensed the same terrible coffee. Sarah arrived at hour 2. "Robert, I heard. Maria called." "The board must be happy." His voice sounded disconnected, like it was coming from someone else. "Crazy former CEO now spending his last money on a dying dog." "That's not—" "Robert, we're worried about you." "Don't be. You've lost everything for this dog." "No." Robert looked at her. "I lost everything when Emily died. This dog is the first thing I've felt since then." Sarah sat beside him, said nothing. After a while, she took his hand. Her fingers were warm, alive. Hour 5. Dr. Kumar emerged, blood on her scrubs despite the surgical gown. "He survived. Barely. We removed what was left of the spleen, repaired 2 arterial tears. But Mr. Anderson, his body is shutting down. The anesthesia, the blood loss. He might not wake up. What are the odds? 50-50. Less, maybe. His liver function is compromised. Kidneys are struggling. Even if he wakes, there could be brain damage from the lack of oxygen." Robert stood. His legs had gone numb from sitting. "Can I see him?" Lucky lay in the ICU, looking smaller somehow than 3 months ago, despite the weight gain. Tubes and wires everywhere. The ventilator pushing air in and out. The monitors showed numbers that meant nothing and everything. Heart rate, 42. Too low. Blood pressure, 80/50. Too low. Temperature, 95.3. Too low. Hey, buddy. Robert's hand found the spot behind Lucky's ears. The fur was cold. Tommy called today. Wants to know when he can visit. His aunt says maybe next month if the court approves it. No response. Not even the flicker of an eyelid. You've got to wake up for him. Kid needs you. Still, nothing. Robert's phone buzzed. William Cross. Emergency shareholder meeting tomorrow. We're discussing your complete removal from the board. Your mental state is affecting company value. He deleted it. Pulled a chair next to Lucky's bed. The same vigil, the same waiting. But this time felt different. Final. Like the last paragraph of a story nobody wanted to read. Midnight. Lucky's breathing changed. Shorter, shallower. The ventilator alarm started beeping. Dr. Kumar rushed in, adjusted settings, checked pupils. Her face stayed professionally neutral, but Robert saw the truth in how her shoulders dropped. His body's giving up, she said quietly. We could try more aggressive measures, but what? It might just be prolonging suffering. Robert looked at Lucky, remembered him playing fetch that morning, tongue hanging out, happy. Remembered his terror when Jake appeared. Remembered how he'd protected Tommy, even though it meant facing his worst nightmare. He's a fighter, Robert said. Sometimes fighting isn't enough. One more day. Give him one more day. Kumar nodded. I'll do what I can. 3 a.m. Robert dozed in the chair, woke to his phone ringing. Unknown number. Mr. Anderson, this is Sharon Morales from Child Protective Services. I'm sorry to call so late, but there's been an incident. His stomach clenched like a fist. Tommy? He's safe, but his father violated the restraining order, showed up at the aunt's house drunk, demanding his son. Police arrested him, but Tommy's extremely upset. He keeps asking about a dog? Says he needs to see Lucky? Robert looked at the unconscious dog, machines keeping him alive. Lucky's sick, in the hospital. I see. Long pause. Mr. Anderson, this is irregular, but would it be possible? Tommy won't calm down, won't eat. If he could just hear the dog. The dog's in a coma. Silence. Then, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. It's just, the boy seems to believe the dog is the only thing that ever protected him. The line went dead. Robert stared at Lucky. The monitors beeped their electronic rhythm. Somewhere in the building, another dog barked. Lucky didn't stir. Robert's phone rang again. Tommy's aunt's number. A small voice. Mr. Anderson? Is Lucky okay? Robert's throat closed tight as a fist. He couldn't lie to the boy. Couldn't tell the truth either. He's sleeping, Tommy. Can you wake him up? I need to tell him something. What do you need to tell him? That I love him? That I'm sorry Dad hurt him because of me. That he's the best dog ever. Robert held the phone to Lucky's ear. Tell him. Tommy's voice came through, thin and desperate. Lucky? It's me. It's Tommy. Please wake up. Please. I need you. Nothing. Then, Lucky's ear twitched. The ear twitch could have been nothing. Muscle reflex, random nerve firing. But Robert kept the phone pressed against Lucky's ear while Tommy's voice continued through the speaker. Remember when you slept next to my bed? When Dad was drinking downstairs? You always knew when he was coming up the stairs. You'd stand by the door. Every single time. Lucky's other ear moved, a quarter-inch rotation toward the phone. Dr. Kumar entered, saw Robert's position. Mr. Anderson, he can't actually... She stopped. Lucky's heart rate on the monitor had changed, 42 to 45. Small, maybe meaningless, but change. Tommy, Robert said into the phone, keep talking. Tell him anything. Lucky, Aunt Janet has a cat. Her name is Whiskers. She's orange and really fat. and she hisses at me. But I think she's just scared. Like how you were scared, but you still protected me. 45 to 48. Are you seeing this? Robert asked Kumar. She moved to the monitors, checked the ventilator settings. Nothing had changed except Lucky's response. This shouldn't be possible. He's heavily sedated. Lucky, I drew you a picture. At my new school, Mrs. Henderson said it was really good. It's you playing fetch. I made your leg better in the picture. Both legs. Is that okay? Lucky's paw flexed. Tiny movement, but deliberate. Lord have mercy. Kumar grabbed her tablet, started recording vitals. Keep the boy talking. Mr. Anderson? Tommy's voice went small. Is Lucky there? Can he hear me? He hears you, Tommy. His tail just moved. It hadn't, but Robert needed the boy to believe, to keep talking. Really? The hope in Tommy's voice could have lit up the whole hospital. Lucky! Good boy! Best boy! This time the tail did move, an inch sweep against the surgical blanket. Dawn came gray through the ICU windows. Tommy had fallen asleep on the phone, but his aunt had kept the line open. They could hear his breathing, occasional murmurs. Lucky's vitals had stabilized. Not improved dramatically, but held steady. Kumar had called in the day shift early. I've never seen anything like this, she told Robert. The emotional response overriding the physical trauma. He's fighting for Tommy. Animals don't. She stopped, looked at Lucky's chart. Medicine says they don't, but I'm watching it happen. Robert's phone buzzed with texts. The board meeting in 3 hours. His removal vote. Sarah saying she'd vote his shares by proxy if he wanted. William threatening legal action if he didn't appear. None of it penetrated. Only the rise and fall of Lucky's chest mattered. Only the steady beep of his heartbeat. Mr. Anderson? A voice at the door. A woman with a CPS badge and clothes that looked slept in. I'm Sharon Morales. We spoke on the phone. Behind her, a small figure. Tommy, in yesterday's clothes, hair sticking up like wheat, eyes red and puffy from crying. You brought him? His aunt drove through the night when she heard the dog was... She looked at Lucky, unconscious and intubated. Her expression softened. The court granted an emergency visit. 1 hour. Tommy stood frozen in the doorway. His eyes tracked the tubes, the machines, the bandages. Is he dying? Robert knelt down to Tommy's level. He's trying really hard not to. Because of what my dad did? Because his body went through too much. But Tommy, when he heard your voice, his heart got stronger. Tommy approached slowly, each step careful, like Lucky when he'd first entered Robert's house. His small hand reached out, stopped an inch from Lucky's fur. Can I touch him? He'd like that. Tommy's fingers made contact, gentle as butterfly wings. Hi, Lucky. It's me. Lucky's eyes remained closed, but his breathing changed, deeper. The ventilator had to adjust to match. I brought something. Tommy pulled a folded paper from his pocket. The drawing. Crayon on construction paper. Lucky, with 4 legs, catching a bright yellow ball under a blue sky with puffy clouds. Mrs. Henderson helped me write words. He unfolded it completely. At the bottom, in careful first-grade printing, Lucky is the best dog. Love, Tommy. Can he see it? Tommy asked. When he wakes up. What if he doesn't? Robert had no answer that wouldn't break the boy's heart. Tommy climbed onto the chair beside Lucky's bed, started talking, not to anyone in particular, just talking the way kids do when they need to fill silence. At my new school, they have chocolate milk on Fridays, real chocolate, not the powder kind, and there's a playground with a tube slide. I went down it backwards yesterday. Mrs. Rodriguez said I was brave. Lucky's heart rate, 52. Dad came to Aunt Janet's house last night. He was really drunk, yelling about how you stole his dog, how rich people think they own everything. He kicked the door so hard it cracked. Aunt Janet called 911. 55. The police took him away. He kept yelling your name, not Lucky, The bad name. The mean one. What name? Sharon Morales asked, pulling out her notebook. Useless. He called him useless. Kumar's hands stilled on her tablet. Sharon wrote it down. But that's not his name, Tommy continued, his hand never leaving Lucky's fur. His name is Lucky. Mr. Anderson said so. And Mr. Anderson saved him, so he gets to choose. 58. Respiratory rate increasing. Kumar moved to adjust the ventilator. Wait, she said. He's breathing over the vent. He's trying to breathe on his own. Tommy kept talking. About his aunt's house with the yellow kitchen. About starting second grade next year. About how Whiskers the cat had slept on his bed last night, even though she usually hissed at him. His voice steady, like he was reading a bedtime story. Tommy, Sharon said gently, we need to talk about your dad, about what happened. Tommy's hand tightened in Lucky's fur. He hits. When he drinks. Sometimes when he doesn't drink, too. Did Lucky try to stop him? Every time. That's why Dad hurt him so bad. The last time. Tommy's voice caught like a foot on a crack in the sidewalk. The last time, Dad had his belt off. The thick one, with the metal buckle. Was coming for me. I'd spilled juice on his work shirt. Lucky bit him. Really bit, not like yesterday. Drew blood. Dad went crazy. Started kicking Lucky. Kept kicking. Then dragged him outside. I heard. Tommy stopped. Tears ran down his cheeks, dripping onto Lucky's fur. I heard Lucky crying. Then a sound like when you drop a watermelon. Then nothing. Dad came back in with blood on his boots. Said Lucky ran away. But there was blood on the porch. So much blood. Sharon kept writing. Did you tell anyone? Mom, on the phone. She's in Seattle working. Said she'd come get me, but Dad said he'd hurt her too if she tried. Robert's phone lit up with a text from William. Meeting starting. Last chance. He turned it off. Mr. Anderson? Kumar was staring at the monitors. Look. Lucky's eyes had opened. Not fully. Slits. But open. Unfocused from the medication. Pupils big as dimes, but open. Tommy gasped. Lucky? The dog's eyes tracked toward the sound, found Tommy, focused. He sees me. Mr. Anderson, he sees me. Lucky's tail moved. More than an inch this time. A real wag. Weak, but unmistakable. Kumar started pulling up files on her tablet. If he's conscious, we can start weaning the ventilator. Run cognitive tests. This is impossible, but it's happening. Sharon Morales had her phone out. Judge Matthews? Yes, I'm at the hospital. The evidence is overwhelming. The boy's testimony, the medical records, the video footage. I'm recommending immediate termination of parental rights. Robert barely heard her. He watched Tommy lean down, whisper something in Lucky's ear. The dog's tail wagged again, stronger. What did you tell him? Robert asked. That we're both safe now. That nobody's going to hurt us anymore. Lucky made a sound around the breathing tube. Not quite a whine, more like acknowledgement, like he understood. Mr. Anderson, Sharon said, putting her phone away, the judge wants to know if you'd consider taking Tommy as a foster placement, given the bond with the dog, the stable environment you could provide. Robert looked at Tommy, face pressed against Lucky's fur, at Lucky, fighting his way back to consciousness for this boy, at the two survivors who'd protected each other against impossible odds. His empire was crumbling, board voting him out completely, fortune depleted on medical bills, reputation in tatters. Yes, he said. Tommy's head snapped up. Really? I could live with you and Lucky? If you want to. Forever? Robert thought about the empty mansion, 7 bedrooms gathering dust, Emily's piano that hadn't been played in 5 years. All that space waiting to be filled with life again. We'd have to ask Lucky. Tommy turned to the dog. Lucky, can I come live with you? Lucky's tail hit the bed 3 times. Deliberate, certain, clear answer. Dr. Kumar was openly crying now. Sharon Morales wiped her eyes, pretended to check her notebook. "There's significant paperwork," Sharon said. "Background checks, home inspection, court hearings." "I'll handle it all," Robert said. His phone buzzed. "Sarah. They voted. You're out completely. William's taking over as CEO. I'm sorry." He deleted it. Looked at Tommy teaching Lucky how to breathe without the machine, coaching each breath like a swimming instructor. Watched Lucky fighting to stay conscious, to stay present for his boy. "Mr. Anderson?" Kumar touched his shoulder. "There's something else." "The blood work. I ran a genetic panel to help with treatment." She showed him the results. Most of the medical terms meant nothing to him, but one line stood out. "Lucky's not just a German Shepherd. He's got Belgian Malinois in him. Military working dog lines. They're bred to protect. It's literally in his DNA." Tommy overheard. "What does that mean?" Robert looked at the scarred dog who'd taken beatings meant for a child, who'd faced his worst terror to protect Tommy one more time, who was fighting death itself because a boy needed him. "It means he was born to be exactly who he is. A hero? Your hero." Lucky's eyes had closed again, exhausted from the effort of consciousness, but his breathing was steady, self-directed. The ventilator sat idle, ready if needed, but not needed now. "We'll keep him sedated for a few more hours," Kumar said. "Let his body rest. But Mr. Anderson, I think he's going to make it." Tommy had climbed fully onto the bed now, careful of the tubes, curled against Lucky's side. "I'm not leaving." "Tommy, we have to," Sharon started. "Please, what if he wakes up and I'm gone? What if he thinks I abandoned him, like Dad did?" Robert recognized the fear, the same one that had kept him at Emily's bedside for 97 days. "Let him stay," Robert said. "I'll be here too." Sharon checked her watch. "I can give you 2 more hours. Then Tommy needs food, a shower, proper rest." 2 hours, Robert agreed. But as Tommy started telling Lucky about his new school again, about chocolate milk Fridays and backward tube slides, Robert knew time didn't matter anymore. They'd found each other, all 3 of them. The broken millionaire, the dying dog, and the frightened boy. His phone rang. Unknown number, local area code. "Mr. Anderson? This is Patricia Coleman from Animal Control. I need to speak with you about the dog. We've received a complaint from Mr. Morrison's lawyer. They're claiming the animal is dangerous, demanding immediate seizure and evaluation." Robert's blood turned to ice water. "On what grounds?" "The bite yesterday. Even though no injury occurred, any bite must be investigated. I'm sorry, but we'll need to take custody of the animal within 24 hours. 24 hours? Robert repeated into the phone. His free hand found Tommy's shoulder. The boy had gone rigid as a fence post, fingers twisted in Lucky's fur. "Mr. Anderson, I don't want to do this." Patricia Coleman's voice carried genuine regret through the phone. "But Morrison's lawyer filed formal paperwork. The bite, even without breaking skin, triggered mandatory protocol. The dog was protecting a child from abuse. I understand that, but until a hearing..." "When?" "The hearing? Minimum 2 weeks. The dog would be held in quarantine. Given his medical condition..." She didn't finish. Didn't need to. Lucky's breathing had steadied to 15 breaths per minute. Normal. His eyes tracked movement behind closed lids. Dreaming, maybe, or fighting to wake. "I need a lawyer," Robert said. "Mr. Anderson, even with legal representation, the law is clear." He ended the call. Tom was looking up at him, tears already forming. "They can't take him. He just woke up. They can't." Robert's phone buzzed. Jennifer Hayes. "Heard about animal control. Can we talk? I have something that might help." 6 months later. The bronze plaque caught morning sun like a mirror. Lucky's Landing, where second chances begin. Robert ran his thumb across the inscription, while Tommy arranged wildflowers at its base, Indian paintbrush and desert marigold he'd picked from their yard. Lucky sniffed the memorial, then lifted his leg and marked it. His stream strong, leg lift steady. 72 pounds of muscle and glossy fur. The prosthetic had been upgraded twice as he'd grown stronger. Now, he barely favored it. "That's disrespectful," Tommy said, but he was grinning. "He's claiming it," Robert said, "making it his." A car slowed on the highway. Not unusual. Since Jennifer's follow-up story aired on national news, people sometimes stopped to read the plaque. But this car pulled over, hazard lights blinking. An elderly woman emerged, moving careful like her joints hurt. She approached the back of her old Honda Civic. "Ma'am?" Robert called. "You okay?" She turned. Tears had made tracks through her powder. "I'm sorry. I didn't know where else to go. The vet said to put him down. But he's all I have left since Harold passed." Tommy was already moving. Robert followed. In the back of the Honda, on a blanket that had seen better days, lay a beagle, maybe 15 years old, eyes clouded with cataracts, tumors visible under patchy fur. But his tail moved when Tommy leaned in. Just a twitch, but movement. "What's his name?" Tommy asked. "Barney, like the purple dinosaur. My granddaughter named him before she—" The woman stopped, swallowed hard. "Before the accident. Car accident. Took my son and his wife, too." Lucky had approached, nose working. He sniffed Barney carefully, then did something remarkable. He lay down beside the Honda, getting himself level with the old beagle. Slow, unthreatening. The way he'd learned to approach the scared dogs at the rescue. "The vet wanted $3,000 for surgery," the woman continued. "I have $800 in savings. Social Security doesn't. It's not enough." Robert looked at Tommy. Tommy looked at Lucky. Lucky's tail wagged once. Certain. "Anderson Animal Rescue Foundation," Robert said, pulling out a business card. "New cards. Simple design, nothing fancy. We can help." "I can't afford." "You don't pay. That's not how it works." 3 hours later, Barney was in surgery at Pine Valley, the same surgical suite where Lucky had died 3 times. Dr. Kumar handled the procedure personally. The elderly woman, Eleanor Walsh, sat in the waiting room with Tommy, looking at his phone. Photos of the 43 dogs they'd saved in 6 months, each with their own story. "This one's Pepper," Tommy explained. "She was left in a hot car. Her brain got hurt, but she's learning stuff again. And this is Duke. Someone threw him from a moving truck, broke his back. He's got wheels now, lives with a family in Mesa." Eleanor wiped her eyes with a tissue. "You keep them all?" "Some, the ones that need extra help. Others find homes. Mr. Anderson, Dad, built kennels behind the house. I help every day after school." Robert stood by the window, phone silent for once. The consulting work paid the bills. The foundation ran on donations. Jennifer's stories had made sure of that. The board had called last week asking him to return as CEO. Stock was down 40% without his leadership. He'd told them he'd think about it. He was still thinking. Lucky lay at his feet, head on paws, watching the surgery door. Standing guard, as always. "He knows," Tommy said to Eleanor. "Lucky always knows when they're going to make it." "How?" Tommy shrugged. "He just does." As if to prove the point, Lucky's tail began wagging. 30 seconds later, Kumar emerged, pulling off surgical gloves. "Benign tumors, all removed. Barney's going to need recovery time, but he'll be fine." Eleanor collapsed into Tommy's arms, sobbing. The 9-year-old held her like someone who understood what it meant when a dog was all you had left. That evening, Robert stood in what used to be Emily's piano room. Now it housed 8 dog beds, most occupied. Tommy sat in the middle, reading homework aloud. The dog seemed to listen, even Barney, still groggy from anesthesia. "Dad?" Tommy looked up from his science book. "Was Mrs. Emily nice?" The question caught Robert off guard. Tommy rarely asked about Emily. Very nice. She would have loved you. Would she have loved Lucky? Robert thought about Emily's last words, not about pain or fear. She'd gripped his hand and whispered, "Don't close your heart." He'd thought she meant find another wife, but watching Tommy teach Pepper to shake hands, watching Lucky supervise with fatherly patience, Robert understood. Emily hadn't meant romantic love. She'd meant this. Exactly this. She would have loved all of it, Robert said. Lucky rose, stretched, walked to Robert. No limp. No hesitation. The cigarette burn scars had faded to barely visible marks under healthy fur. He leaned against Robert's leg, solid, warm, alive. Tommy had gone back to reading. Something about photosynthesis. His voice cracked on the scientific terms, but he powered through. The dogs didn't care about pronunciation. Robert's phone sat silent on the counter. No board calling him back yet. No empire to rebuild. His fortune mostly gone to medical bills, the foundation, Tommy's college fund already started. William Cross had called yesterday. The company was hemorrhaging money. Would he consider returning, even as a consultant? Robert had said he'd think about it. He was still thinking. Lucky's tail wagged as Tommy reached the end of the chapter. Pepper had fallen asleep on Tommy's foot. Barney snored softly, probably dreaming of Eleanor, who'd visit tomorrow. "Time for bed," Robert said. 5 more minutes." The same negotiation every night. Robert pretended to consider. 5 minutes. Tommy grinned, kept reading. Outside, a car passed on the distant highway. Maybe someone in trouble. Maybe someone with a dying dog and no money and no hope. If they stopped at mile marker 31, they'd find a plaque, a phone number, a chance. Robert had lost an empire, lost his reputation, lost almost everything the world said mattered. Looking at Tommy, surrounded by rescued dogs, at Lucky, standing guard, at the life they'd built from ashes and grace, he knew the truth Emily had tried to tell him. You don't find love again. It finds you. Sometimes on a highway shoulder, covered in flies and dying. Sometimes in a frightened boy who needs protecting. Sometimes in letting go of everything you thought mattered to hold on to what actually does. Lucky's tail thumped once against the floor. Agreement, maybe, or just contentment. The sound of a heart that had stopped beating 3 times, now steady as a clock. The sound of home. "My dear friend, I need to tell you something. 8 years have passed since that highway afternoon. Lucky lived until 14, peacefully, in his sleep, Tommy holding him. Tommy just started veterinary school, full scholarship. The foundation has saved over 3,000 dogs now. But here's what I really learned, what Emily knew all along. We don't save the broken things. They save us. That Tuesday on Highway 47, I thought I was rescuing a dying dog. Truth is, 3 souls rescued each other. We still visit that spot every July. Tommy, his fiancée, her rescue dog, and me. We remember Lucky. We remember grace finds us when we're brave enough to stop." This story was inspired by true animal rescue events, created solely for entertainment purposes. This narrative does not condone, encourage, or promote any form of violence, animal cruelty, child abuse, or harmful behavior. All characters and events depicted are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. The story aims to highlight themes of compassion, redemption, and the healing power of human-animal bonds, while acknowledging the serious nature of abuse and trauma recovery.